So here we are again, and I am so grateful for your presence and time. Let's do some more life model, shall we? If you don't care, you can listen to my chocolatey tones in the background. That's absolutely fine. If you do, this is for consideration. I'm discussing the life model maturity indicators, and today we're going through the child stage, age 4 through 12. Last episode we went through what hopefully you received as a baby, and if you did, you have really dope stuff like good identity, no difficulty bonding, not being withdrawn or disengaged, being able to regulate emotions well. Oh wow, good for you. I'm really stoked. I hope you have all those things. I don't. Who does? But today, literally, the first time she's ever made that noise in my existence. She makes it when I hit record. Do you want to see? Here she goes. Oh my. Oh my. Oh yes. I'm not a cat guy, but she does make me smile once in a while because she's a persnickety old lady, and that is a vibe that we don't really have in our home. So because of her, we do. The life model, you alright? Life model, age 4 through 12. This is after the birth and baby growing stage up until 4. So the personal tasks are for the kiddo, like ask for what is needed and can say what one thinks and feels. Okay, so if the kiddo can ask for what is needed and can say what they think and feel, that's really good. And also, I'm guessing that means they're comfortable with their adult. Okay, the community and family tasks. Adults around the child should hopefully be able to teach and allow the child to appropriately articulate their needs. So the kiddo is hopefully comfortable enough and brave enough to say, hello, I need this, please. And the adults are confirming the communication. When this task fails, the child experiences continual frustration and disappointment because the needs are not met. The child is often passive aggressive because of this. So if you see a streak through your whole life, and I know the world tells you right now to blame everyone for all your problems, and kind of, but not entirely. If you are passive aggressive, I am. Right away, I am. I was taught to not be aggressive and not be passive. So you end up in the middle, right? I experienced continual frustration and disappointment because my needs were not met, and I was acting passively aggressively from a young age because either I wasn't comfortable asking for what was needed and I could not say what I thought or felt, or if I tried to ask and tried to be honest and open, the adults were not teaching and allowing me to appropriately articulate those needs. So if I was good at bringing up my needs, chatting them out to the adults responded poorly, and thus it taught me that that was pointless. I never learned to articulate my needs, which sounds very like me, and so I end up frustrated, disappointed, and passive aggressive because those needs never get met. Needs are needs. They need to be met one way or another. God willing, you find someone who can understand you and all this stuff, right? But man, woman, humans, that's medicine. Number 2, the personal tasks for the child to learn what brings personal satisfaction. It's on the child to find their passions, their enjoyments, and their things they like, the things that bring them joy. Now, the community and family tasks, if the child can find what they enjoy and what they appreciate, the family and community should help the child to evaluate the consequences of their own behaviors and to identify what satisfies them best. So, if you like something too much, say candy, and you are willing to make a scene about it, cause problems, the family and community are hopefully willing to go, hey, I hear what you want and need. That's not the way we ask. Let's correct how we are asking. And then the parents can go, this seems to satisfy you. And the child goes, yeah, I guess so. And then the child and the adult both learn to communicate and appreciate. And the child learns what satisfaction means. Do you know what satisfaction even means in your heart of hearts? It's not pizza or video games or a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend. It's not just that. It goes so much deeper, doesn't it? So, if the child cannot learn what brings personal satisfaction, if the adults do not help the child to evaluate the consequences of their behavior, big one, and help them identify what satisfies the child, let's see what happens. The child is then obsessed with or addicted to food, drugs, sex, money, power, in a desperate chase to find the missing satisfaction. So as a child, you can learn what satisfies you through communication with adults who hopefully know more than you about how satisfaction works. Once that's leveled together, once that bridge is built, it is easier to avoid things like food, drugs, sex, money, or power addiction because you understand how to be satisfied in the first place. Number 3, if your mind isn't chewing as it is, the child develops enough persistence to do hard things. Well, how would a child 4 to 12 learn how to do hard things? Let's find out. The child learns to do those things, and the adults challenge and encourage the child to do those difficult things. Challenge and encourage. Does that sound like your childhood or the childhood you're passing on down? Challenge and encourage the child to do difficult tasks that the child does not feel like doing. That is the first kind of tough paragraph in that column. Just challenge and encourage them to do tough things. That's all. And then the kid develops enough persistence to do those hard things. Doesn't sound like a trip to the ice cream shop, but it sounds like your parents both challenge and encourage you instead of yell at you, scream at you, take stuff away, dumb you, put you in some kind of basement situation. It gets so much worse. Sorry. Put you in a well in the basement, lotion and baskets, if you get that reference. When the tasks fail, the child experiences failure, remains stuck and undependable. You don't feel stuck and undependable, do you? Or passive-aggressive or addicted? The child is consumed with comfort and fantasy life. I like video games. I'm trying to figure out where they exist in my world right now. But fantasy life comes at the cost of time. And time is how your real life moves from one thing to the next, generally birthdays. I could become king of a world online. Feel great, but it might cost a lot of my free time between 35 and 40, or 27 and 32. And all I'll have to show for it is being a king online, which might be fun and even give me emotions that I might be afraid I can't get out in the world. But what if there was a chance I could have gotten them and didn't fully pursue? At the chagrin of everyone in my life, as a child, I stumbled into liking pro wrestling, and I wanted to be like Mick Foley. No one probably knows who that is, but I do. He was my hero because he wasn't jacked, didn't have a six-pack, kind of the opposite. but he proved himself over and over through bloody, brutal showcases of his toughness. I thought, at least I can be tough. If I can't get a six-pack or a single muscle, I can be tough, right? I can force myself. I ended up getting a bunch of muscles, getting a lot of compliments, like, you looked like a pro wrestler. And I got to be multiple champions, multiple places. I got to live the dream that I was making in video games. I got to make it happen in real life. Not everyone's lives can go like that. I hesitate to say that. I want everyone's lives to go like that. But I can't make that happen for anyone else. You kind of have to decide to try, whether they happen or not. It begins with you, right? Fantasy life versus real life. So if you don't learn to do hard things, or teach your kids to do hard things, they will not learn to do hard things. Shocker. And then they will seek fantasy and comfort, because otherwise, in the real world, they will experience failure, be stuck, and feel undependable. Cool beans. Number 4. The child develops personal resources and talents. The community and family tasks to help the kids develop personal resources and talents. They provide opportunities to develop the child's unique talents and interests. I love writing. I'm working on drawing, but not since I was a kid. I've only been writing since I was a kid. And guess what? Because I wrote as a child, I am much better at it today than if I started a year ago. I found I liked writing because I liked reading and because I liked telling myself stories with my action figures. You may not know what action figures are anymore because of video games, but I swear there was this magical period where there were near infinite action figures and tons of free time because TV replaced streaming services and YouTube. And if there was nothing on TV, you had forced free time and had to go outside or go play with toys and imagine stories that kept you entertained. You had to, because there was no other option. So either you read, played with toys, played outside, but it all involved the engine of imagination. I think that's a really important part of the human experience that is sometimes less encouraged in the modern times. And if I hadn't learned to tell myself stories, to contemplate beginnings, middles, and ends, ups and downs, plot twists, I wouldn't be who I am today. It doesn't really relate to my parents, except for they gave me the free time. Some would call it neglect. Again, who's perfect though, right? I was led to have free time. Whatever the cause, that free time led me to imagine a lot. And that led me to write stories, tell myself things that entertained me or helped me through the tough times. Led me to liking pro wrestling to the point where I accomplished my goals in pro wrestling in the real world. All because I found that I liked stories as a kid. Now, did my parents make me like storytelling? No. Did they encourage it? Not inherently. Not that I can remember. But they did love me in their own ways. And sometimes that's all you can do. Sometimes that's all you get. When the task of providing opportunities to develop the child's unique talents and interests fails, they fill their life with unproductive activities despite the gifts given. So if your kids have inherent gifts that mean a lot to them and you utterly ignore or refuse to follow through, then they will fill their life with what you push them towards eventually because they cannot change your mind. They fill their life with unproductive activity despite their giftings. I think every kid, not just me, every kid feels resistance from their parents. Even if you try to be a clone of your parents, sometimes your parents will be like, why aren't you a painter? Don't be a tax specialist. Sometimes you just can't do the right thing because the right thing doesn't exist. So maybe as parents, let's work on providing opportunities for the kids to develop their skills and their giftings. And hopefully the kids are willing to put in the work of developing personal resources and talents. Number 5, the child knows themselves and takes responsibility to make themselves understandable to others. This is gigantic. I couldn't have even been close to this until I was 18. The child knows themselves and takes responsibility to make themselves understandable to others. We're talking about relating within a family unit, within a community, and also outside of it. I was not that kid. So, the community and adults, parents, guide the child in discovering the unique characteristics of the child's heart. So in a way, if all communication comes from the heart of the child, they help the child discover the ways in which to communicate. If this does not happen, if this fails or falls down, the child fails to develop a true identity. They conform to outside influence that misshape their given identity. If your kid seems like they are just meant to do a thing, and you either tell them not to because you don't like it, or discourage it because it's not your favorite idea for your child, or if you see these things in your parents, right? This is what leads to failing to develop a true identity of your own. I'm 40. I'm still trying to figure out my identity. Isn't that shameful? Isn't that not shameful? Doesn't it suck? Couldn't it have been avoided? Couldn't it have been a different... I don't want to change who I am because I'm doing this right now with you. But wouldn't it be cool to actually nail that? To ensure that the child develops a true identity and doesn't conform to outside influence? Is themselves no matter what? Don't we all wish our parents would have helped us find out who we actually are so that we resist conforming and misshaping our identities to fit in? How many geniuses have we lost to conforming? Number 6, last one. Here we go. The child understands how he or she fits into history, as well as the big picture of what life is all about. Save the biggest for last, man. The child understands how he or she fits into history, as well as the big picture of what life is all about. And the child figures out how to do such a big task idea if the adults, the community around them, educate the child about the family history, as well as the history of the family. This says the history of the family of God. I know that's treacherous, tricky for a lot of people, and you have reasons. Probably you're thinking of them right now, and you might have very valid reasons. I do too. I'm just still here. And it's not because I'm afraid to leave. It's because I think I found the truth under all the rubble and shattered bones. If the child does not feel educated about their family history, as well as the history of family of God, or the history of their lineage, their bloodline, who they come from, they will feel disconnected from history itself and unable to protect themselves from family lies or dysfunctions that are passed on. So if you don't tell them the truth, they will fall for a lie, very simply and clearly, even if it comes from inside the family or inside the faith. If you don't explain the truth to the kids,